Hello and welcome to a completely new form of custom. Well, not a new form of custom, but a new series or genre, I suppose. Moving into the Ben 10 line, a series I've always wanted to do customs of, and starting with the Sunfire body mold for Heatblast. Pretty good body to start with, obviously. I need to remove the collar first. I'm not the biggest fan of these forearms for it, and the paintwork needs to go as well. But transparent yellow with a fiery head is ideal. So first things first, going to drown him, soften up that plastic, and then tear his head off. Which he seems absolutely ecstatic about. Now I did kind of expect this to be attached with a peg or some other method, not just 4 dots of super glue, which you can see there. But it came off relatively easy with a bit of heat. Taking these forearms off, you want something like not a pin, but something like thick round bit of metal, or thin round bit of metal I suppose, depending on what size metal you're used to working with normally, and you're trying to push these pins out. I did struggle a bit with pulling it out the other side because of the water, of course. Made everything slippery there. And take the other one out. Other one came out with much less problem. Now I will be saving these because these could work for a future custom. Don't know what yet, but clear fists seem pretty good. Whatever you do, don't lose these. We're going to need them later to reattach the new forearms. Now to remove all this paintwork, cotton pads and some acetone. I'm obviously choosing nail polish remover because it works just as well. Now this paintwork came off really easily. I was expecting this to require a bit more. But you also don't want to leave the acetone to sit on there, so you want to dunk in a bit of that water now that it's gone cold. And wipe off any excess acetone that might be sitting on there, because acetone will just eat straight through plastic. So you do want to make sure you're taking that off. And then back to the acetone with this one here. And that's what one arm looks like finished. So we'll speed run the rest of it. I say speed run, I sat here for about what was probably half an hour removing black paint. It was not a fun process. Although the abs were very satisfying because they came off very, very cleanly. Now of course there is that bit that I couldn't get to, so a cotton bud, or for the Americans a Q-tip, with a bit of acetone on it will do just as well. And I've just cut the entire bit right at the legs because it just wasn't fun. The mask I couldn't show getting off on camera. I can show throwing it, but I had to take my heat gun and literally tear it off. And you'll see it left some nice big holes in his head. Now once we're at this point, obviously we've got a clear body that's missing its forearms and its hands. So I mocked these up in Tinkercad. Very basic shapes, they're literally just squares, cylinders, and circles. I'm pretty sure that's literally all I used for this. Imported it into Blender, and then in Blender I can smooth everything out, give it a bit more of an organic shape. There's the fist. Blender is absolutely brilliant for doing things like this. This is normally what I do for my sculpts. Rough shape in Tinkercad, bring it into Blender, smooth it all out. And then chuck it in the slicer. I use Chi2 Box Pro, just because that's what I'm used to. Print them in clear resin. Now normally I'd have to do a load of prototypes. Apparently I've gotten to the point of 3D printing so much that I actually know my tolerances down to a T, and first print worked perfectly, so we'll go with that. Very weird. I used to have to do like 8 test prints before I got something that worked, and now it just works straight off the bat, which is absolutely brilliant. So a little test fit, I'm very happy with the proportions, I think they look just as well as they should. Taking this clear yellow. I did use an airbrush, you can brush it on if you want to though. I just found it gave a nicer finish and more plastic looking. Now putting the pins back in. I did do this off camera, this was an absolute pain, I had to heat it up, again with the heat gun, and use a pair of pliers and just force that peg through. But once it's in, it's solid, that isn't going anywhere. Now we have still got that void. Oh, I did also clear gloss the entire figure, which I end up matte glossing again later anyway, or matte clearing. Don't cut this way, by the way. Do not cut towards you with the scalpel. I just wanted to thin down his face a little bit because it was too square-jawed. And luckily that gave us some excess plastic, which you can see I'm using to fill this gap. A bit of super glue just to fill it up a bit more and blend it back in. 5mm drill bit will make the holes in his feet, and take a scalpel and cut the actual slots out. And then we've got more spare plastic, which makes a really nice Pinocchio nose, or a good filler for that forehead. And then I also did the other bit to actually glue a nose in and then cut it off again. I did also sand that all down with the rotary tool. But now we're getting on to the best bit, which originally I was going to leave just the terracotta colour of this miller part. But I wasn't happy with how orange it went. I kind of thought it would stay a bit more red, so I do end up repainting it all anyway. But you guys asked to show a little bit more of my sculpting process, so I filmed what I think was about half an hour's worth of footage that I've condensed down into a couple of minutes. Or maybe not even 1 minute. But yeah, I'm just using a scalpel for the most part. Nice close-up of my thumb there as well. Cutting out the eyes with a tube, just a clear plastic tube that I had lying around. You can just use a straw if you've got one thin enough. And there you go. I didn't film the process of making all these because it's the exact same process but with less care. Just trying to get roughly accurate to the actual cartoon. And then a hell of a lot of sanding later. You can see all the dust all over my hand. Just takes the thumbprint out of this. I could have sanded this a lot more, I could have got it a lot smoother. I ended up leaving it quite rigid, rugged, rough, I suppose is probably the best way of saying it, when I started painting. But I'm personally not too bothered because it's meant to be like magma rock anyway, so I'm fine with it being a bit rougher. But yeah, this is it. For the most part, he's finished now. Nice butt. Yeah, this is it. I might go and do some more bits, but you can see he's missing a very key part. He's missing the plumber's badge, or the Omnitrix, which, fuck, you don't want to lose. I did have to spend a bit of time looking for that again. But here it is. I 3D modeled this, I printed it. Very simple. I'm not going to show you the file because it's really not that interesting. Now gluing this on, I'm going to leave this footage in here because it was an absolute pain. You would have thought a hole that's designed to fit it with a drop of glue in would be extremely easy to just add in. And you'd be wrong, because that's exactly what I thought. So I've already pulled off a little bit of paint because it stuck to my thumb. And now I would have thought the glue would set there. No. No, my finger that didn't have any glue on apparently was better than super glue. So here's me trying to realign it. Realising I put it in wonky, having to take it back out and realign it again. Finally getting it straight, finally holding it in long enough for the glue to set up. Doing a little finger test, make sure it doesn't stick to that finger again. And now going in with a tiny paintbrush and just fixing the little bits that came loose. And that's him done. I did go and give him a clear matte coat after this. Because, you know, he kind of needed a clear matte. And yeah, I am very, very happy with this guy. Is the red particularly smooth? No. There's a couple of areas where it's like a bit rough. There's a couple of areas where the paint bubbled from me heating it to put the legs back on. But these things happen over... overall I'm very happy with this. This is very nostalgic. I'm very glad to have a figure of Heatblast in my collection. Especially one as articulated as this. As you'll see in a minute, he's got a lot of articulation to him. All the lines that run through him, especially the body, the face, a fair bit of the legs and arms as well actually, but especially his body and his face are all accurate to the cracks. So here you can see just a couple of poses. This one isn't the most out there of poses, but you know, it's a pose he does in the cartoons when he's using his powers. This one's a fair bit cooler, that uses a lot more of the articulation. You've got the butterfly joints in use there. And yeah, I did manage to keep it clear so that his butterfly joints still have, for the most part, their range of movement. They're a tiny bit more limited. And I made it so that his arms still move just as much at the shoulders. I mean, obviously there's a bit less But yeah, I managed to keep quite a bit of articulation on this guy, which very surprising to me. But let me know, do you guys want to see more of this kind of thing? Who do you want to see next? There's quite a few that I need to make. I'm aware that there's meant to be only 10, but I'm aware there's also like another, what, 5 or 6 that get added afterwards. Because you've got Cannonbolt, Upchuck. Who's the other one? There's a fair few. I know there's Ben Mummy, there's Ben Wolf. There's an absolute ton that come in later. There's Frank and Ben at one point, isn't there? A lot of Bens. I suppose it is Ben 10. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you have enjoyed it, like I said, let me know who you want to see next. This figure is, like I said, he's not perfect, but I absolutely love this. I'm so happy with how he's come out. I'm so happy with the fact that, again, I have a Heatblast in my collection, and hopefully I'll have all of them. Or at least the original 10. But thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Probably a Spider-Man video, if we're being honest.